Okay. Hola El Manly. Question for Dave. And I got to tell you, mistakes were made. That's page 7. And I'm missing 8, 9, and 10. I'm pretty sure this one was from April Cooper. But I don't have April Cooper's first question, but I do have April Cooper's second question. So if you can resend 8, 9, and 10, we'll make those the November Please Hold for Dave Sim. Anyway, April's question, did you have an experience with your mom throwing away your comics? And which ones were they? Okay. The sequence of events on that one is I don't know what issue of Playboy it was, but there was an issue of Playboy where they had a pretty lengthy write-up on underground comics as a relatively new phenomenon. I think it was December 1970, December 1971. I think it was a bright red cover. And that was the first time that I had seen or heard of underground comics. And I was dazzled by them as a comic book fan. First of all, I'm a comic book fan, and comic books are not being talked about seriously just about anywhere. And here I am, a reader of Playboy magazine, and Playboy magazine is doing this huge article on comics. You know, not since Jules Feiffer's Great Comic Book Heroes was excerpted in Playboy have I seen something this encouraging as a comic book fan. And it's like, well, you know, I have no way of getting these, but here they are, you know, just looking at all the covers and going, like they're really good. And the reason that it was resonating with me was that these guys were all riffing on Golden Age and Silver Age comic books because that was their experience. So the idea of doing their own comic books and not doing what was the current style, you know, in 1970, 1969, but was a retro style. We didn't even have a concept for retro at the time, which, you know, now that's a whole separate category. So I was really quite hypnotized by them. And then I don't know how long it was after that. I don't know how long it was after the Playboy article, but I would guess maybe a couple of months. And I was downtown at Reed's Books and Magazines, which was at the corner of King and Ontario Streets in downtown Kitchener, and was really quite a going concern. It was they carried virtually every magazine and every newspaper that you could possibly imagine, and also carried singles, 45s of music. It would be, you know, there was 100 slots, and here's the top 100 singles at this week, and all you had to do was check the list and then check the number and then check the slot, and there it is. Grab one of those. Cost you about 89 cents, maybe $1.12 to pick it up. So just on the left-hand side of the store, in the area where you would have esoteric magazines, there was a display of underground comics, and I recognized them from the Playboy article. Not all of them, but there was like 2 or 3 there where I was going, those are the ones that I saw in Playboy magazine. So this was complete serendipity as far as I was concerned. I had no idea where I would even go to see these, let alone own these. And here they are. And looked at them and sticker shock, literally sticker shock, because underground comics were 50 cents at the time. But with the exchange and obviously shipping and stuff like that, each of them had a 75-cent sticker over the 50-cent price point. So it was, that's pretty expensive comics, because I can buy, Marvel and DC comics for 15 cents. So I grabbed, I think, about 5 or 6 of them, basically going on the basis of, I remember this one from the Playboy article, and I remember this one. This one just looks interesting, so I'll grab this one. And, went up to the front and bought them. So it would have been, probably somewhere over $4 for 6 comic books. So still major sticker shock, but at least I can see, what it is that Playboy is talking about and see what I think of these. Major disappointment that they were in black and white. It's like, no, comics are supposed to be in color. It's like, well, okay, I'll live with them being in black and white. Okay, so I get them home, and it was a matter of, I must have left, I wasn't trying to hide them or anything. It was, no, these are, I saw these in Playboy magazine. I saw them downtown. I bought them. And, I'm now going through them to go, okay, what is this thing? Because, I was a major comic fan, and I was doing fanzines and reading fanzines and going, okay, where do these fit, and what do I think of them? And there was a confrontation with my mother where there was like a desk downstairs in the rec room, big oversized business desk that actually had a separate compartment for the typewriter, where you would pull on this platform under the typewriter, and it would swing up and out, and then would occupy a huge amount of space, the old Underwood typewriters, and then could be carefully shifted back into place. And that was where my mother had all of the accounts for the house. That was where she paid the bills and kept records of all of the payments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And she summoned me, and I came there, and she pointed at the comics, which were in a little wicker wastebasket. And they were the only things in the wicker wastebasket next to her desk, and basically said, I threw these out because these are garbage. And I can't recount the conversation because obviously this was not computing in my head very well, because it was okay, I'm allowed to read Playboy magazine, and I saw these in Playboy magazine, and I bought them. And if you looked at them and you don't like them, that's up to you. I didn't buy them for you. I bought them for me. And it was a revelation kind of thing, because I already knew about the First Amendment, and it was you can't be sort of like picking and choosing what Dave is allowed to read. At least I didn't think that was the house rules. It was Dave is allowed to read whatever Dave wants to read, and Dave is allowed to look at whatever he wants to look at. And there are no limitations on that. That's why we're a good liberal family. That's why we're not conservatives. That's why we're not Catholics. That's why we're not Christians. What is going on here? So we came to whatever the discussion was, and I thought about it for a while, and of course, walked past the little wicker wastebasket several times and went, No, I'm just not, I can't go along with this. It's like, those are my things and you threw them in the garbage. So I will now pick my things out of the garbage. And if you want to have another confrontation on this, well, we'll have another confrontation on this. And she didn't say anything, which, like I say, there was, it was a wicker wastebasket just large enough to hold comic books, and they were the only things in it. So it's not as if she didn't notice that they were gone. And, round up the usual suspect. Who could possibly have taken these garbage comic books out of the garbage? But, remembering all of this in advance of answering your question, April, it was a missing jigsaw puzzle piece, which I didn't see at the time, didn't see since, and haven't really seen until now, was what was my dad's attitude on this? And that led to, did my dad even know about it? Or was this a thing that my mother was going solo on? And was my mother going solo on this because she wasn't sure that my father would say, no, it's a comic book. I'd rather that he was reading real books. And I can understand that you see this as being offensive to women and dehumanizing women and objectivizing women, all of the things that we've gotten very, very used to. And but if that's what he wants to read, that's what he wants to read. And if he wants to buy them, he's welcome to buy them. If you don't want to read them, don't read them. Which led to what was the story with Playboy magazine? Because this was a serious disconnect point, that this isn't just garbage comic books that no one of any moral fiber would possibly read or possibly have any kind of participation in or would want to own. No, they were written up in Playboy magazine. And Playboy magazine had an interesting history in our household because my dad had a bottom drawer full of Playboy magazines. And that was one of those, whatever age we would have been. My sister Sheila is 3 years older than I am. And so at what age would Sheila be entrusted with her own welfare and my welfare while my parents went somewhere, not for, overnight or anything, but, maybe a half-hour trip out to Fairview Mall, pick up some stuff, half-hour trip back. But definitely in the category of they're not coming back soon, and we would make a beeline for Dad's bottom drawer, because it was like there was this disconnect of these are in Dad's bottom drawer, but these are not for you. So stay out of Dad's bottom drawer, which is the worst thing that you could possibly say to any kid. It's like, well, okay, now I have to wait until you're gone, so I can go and look in Dad's bottom drawer. And I would have been of an age, let's say my sister was 11 or 12, so I would have been 9 or 8. And I was interested in the magazines, but I was interested in weird things. There was like an issue that had, it was, I think, a Christmas issue that had marionettes in it. And I was looking at them going, those are really good marionettes. Like, I wish I read more effectively so I could know what the story is behind these marionettes. But this is an interesting article. We were definitely Dr. Spock kids, which Dr. Spock was very, very emphatic about the fact that don't make a big issue of nudity. Walk around in the nude yourself and don't treat it as a shameful thing, and allow your children the same thing, and they will grow up without shame. It's like, Well, okay, that's certainly a theory, and Dr. Spock had a bunch of them, and that was certainly my parents' theory. So consequently, looking at Playboy magazine, it never registered to me that there was naked women in here, or that there was anything wrong with naked women. It's like naked just means you don't have your clothes on. And it's like sometimes I don't have my clothes on and sometimes I do. My sister and I were bathing together. I don't know at what age. So it's like we were definitely familiar with the apparatuses that were at stake. But in terms of what attracted my attention in these magazines, I don't know what attracted my sister's attention. Was she, she would have been far more literate than I was. Did she like the cartoons? Did she look at Little Annie Fanny? Was she looking at the nude pictures of women? Was she just trying to figure out, in a lot the same way I was, why is this bottom drawer forbidden? Why are we not allowed to see this? And it's like, I definitely have different attitudes now about nudity. I mean, my attitude would have been like making the case, well, I think Playboy magazine is far more exploitive of, these 20-year-old girls, 22-year-old girls in the nude. That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's niece. That's somebody's sister. And she's, making herself available visually to a mass of millions and millions of men. It's like, there's got to be something wrong with that. I mean, not in terms of this needs to be illegal, but no, this is not something that you would want to have happening in your family. And, every month a new family was experiencing it. So it's there's a spectrum there of, Bob Crumb's It's Only Lines on Paper. The underground comics that I had seen in Playboy magazine weren't exploiting specific women, but certainly women were insulted by what Robert Crumb was doing to his drawings of women and what situations he was putting them in and what he was making them say, which, there you go. I think, we've arrived, at least since 9/11, with, or should have arrived at a better grasp that, okay, now we have a worldwide spectrum of viewpoints on this. And the spectrum, I would suggest, you would have at one end Afghanistan under the Taliban, and at the other end, the Playboy Mansion. And it's like, well, there you go. Where are your alliances and your perspectives on that spectrum? It's the closer you get to the Playboy Mansion, the more you get into whoredom and harlotry and salaciousness and things like that. You can stop those, and you can have draconian laws against them, which the Taliban do. I think it's our job as a society and our job as an individuals to go, okay, Playboy Mansion is a 0, the Taliban, the Afghanistan under the Taliban is a 10. Where am I? Which one am I closer to in terms of what I think is moral and what I think is immoral? So I don't think that's changed appreciably. I'm not someone who thinks if everybody just did what I did or held my viewpoints, we would be living in paradise. It's like, reality doesn't work like that. But, I am at the point where there's no good case to be made for Dave Sim looking at pictures of naked women or looking at Robert Crumb's fantasies. I just can't make a case for that. It's that's where I'm closer to the Taliban in terms of no man should be looking at any naked woman except a wife that he has married till death do us part in the eyes of God. A religious ceremony where I have committed myself to this specific woman and in perpetuity till death us do part. And she is the only one that I should see naked. Anything beyond that, you're really just asking for trouble. Well, that's a little too far over towards the Taliban for most people, but I think we're getting over closer to there rather than saying, if everybody just had a mansion like Hugh Hefner and had sex with whoever was willing to have sex with him in his mansion and with all of his buddies, 7 nights a week, 365 days a year, we would really be living in paradise, which obviously Hugh Hefner thought that was paradise. It takes a while to arrive at a point where you go, okay, if this is seriously wrong and this is seriously wrong, where are the flashpoints and what is my personal viewpoint on them and what is society's view on them? And are all of these wildfires and droughts and floods and things God's way of telling us, no, you got to move over. Okay, you're not willing to move over? Here, this is what you get out of this. This is why California gets what it gets, because California is the Playboy Mansion, uber alles, and we don't want nothing to do with no Taliban around here. Okay, there you go, April. There's my way too long answer to, did you have an experience with your mom throwing away your comics, and which ones were they? I will try and get to your question number 1 in November. Have a good month. Okay, afterthought. We're talking 60 years later afterthought. I think my mother could have made the case to my father that I don't want the kids seeing Playboy magazine because I don't think you should be looking at naked young women, and I don't want the kids thinking that I think it's okay that you're looking at naked young women. But I understand that you want to have Playboy magazine, but until the kids are of age, can we keep the Playboy magazines in the trunk of the car under a mat of some kind? And this is something that I would recommend to any parent anywhere. If there's anything in the house of yours that you don't want your kids to see, don't count on the fact of the kids not seeing that, particularly if you make an issue of stay away from dad's bottom drawer. So consequently, your best place to hide anything from the kids, if you think there's something that you need to hide from your kids, keep it in the trunk of your car under a mat. There isn't a kid in the world that goes, let's go check the trunk of the car. The trunk of the car is like ugly, dirty, nasty. It's someplace that you put suitcases temporarily, groceries temporarily, but it's no place that a kid wants to go or would think of going. So anything you don't want your kids to see, keep it in the trunk of your car. Your kids will never see it.